Hopkins is not officially released yet, according to a Yahoo Sports and NBC Sports report. And this could be just a technicality, but there is an open door for the Cardinals to keep him if there's been some kickstarted, initiated trade interest between now and Tuesday during the deadline here when the transaction would actually be executed. The holiday weekend put everything back a day, and given normally Hopkins would be released on Friday based on the order of things last week, the holiday put a delay on it. So no one's saying Hopkins won't be released by the Cardinals tomorrow, but he should have been technically released Friday, but the league calendar is making it so we're talking about this right now. We'll kick it around. There's probably nothing here. It's probably a nothing burger here. But the Cardinals could, if they wanted to, pull back from this because of potential generated interest since the announcement of his release. We'll talk about it and take your phone calls. I'm not sure how long we'll be live tonight. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So again, just want to preface that this is not something that has a lot of legs, or the speculation here isn't that Hopkins doesn't get released by the Arizona Cardinals tomorrow. But Yahoo released this report that came from and originated from Pro Football Talk, NBC Sports, and here we are. So it's my job not to necessarily decide when and where to give you breaking news, or to only go live when something is 100% accurate or likely to happen. Sometimes my job is to go live whenever there's something that's being kicked around enough that it feels like breaking news, to shoot it down, to talk about the probability of something playing out. So let's kick it off by saying the likelihood of something going differently than expected come Tuesday, when Hopkins should be officially released. The likelihood of something going sideways is not slim to none, but very low probability. But let me read this report here that was by this is by Yahoo, but again triggered off of a Pro Football Talk report. Technically, the Cardinals could still trade Hopkins. It would be the first time a team changed its mind about cutting a player when the news that he had been cut sparked a belated trade market. The problem is that no one wants to take on his contract. He'd need to agree to a new deal, or the Cardinals would need to be willing to pay some of the salary based, basically buying like a draft pick, so to speak. It remains highly unlikely, but is still not impossible until Hopkins is officially released. The far greater likelihood is that his release will become official at 4 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. So tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, which will be 1 p.m. my time, and which is 1 p.m. I think California time. So we'll know by around noon, 1 o'clock West Coast time, 4 p.m. Eastern. We go live at 7 p.m. Eastern every Monday through Friday, so we'll obviously talk. We'll know what's going on by the 7 p.m. show. And unless the Cardinals decide to delay the move until Friday, the Cardinals will take a $22.6 million cap charge for 2023. They could, if they wanted to, hold back $11.3 million this year by waiting until Friday, if in the event they might want to spend it later. Meaning that you hear about this post-1 June cut. Dalvin Cook has not been released by the Vikings yet. He's not. He can't discuss, he's not able to sign anywhere. He is still a Minnesota Viking. He's been earmarked to be released on June 1. So Dalvin Cook will be released on June 1. The reason for doing so, the Vikings are fighting for the now. And if you release somebody post June 1, you can spread out that dead cap hit, whatever the dead cap hit is for the player, across 2 seasons. This year, roughly half. It's broken down differently in the contract, but roughly half this year and the other half, in the next offseason, to help make it easier on this season to have money available for contracts and such, to make room. But when you're eating the entire season, like the Cardinals are going to drive the entire season into the ground. Sick Nasty with an absolute monster graveyard super chat here in the middle of the night. Appreciate that, Sick Nasty. It was, it's definitely something teams would consider doing, the waiting till June 1 if they want to fight for the now. The Cardinals are driving this thing straight into the ground. They're rebuilding. This is a nothing burger year in 2023. The Cardinals might even be vying for the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, obviously, and get that number 1 overall pick. So at the end of the day, the Cardinals aren't looking to save any money for this year to fight this year. They have no shot at making a playoff a run in 2023 with Kyler Murray likely out for at least half of the season, maybe not to return in 2023 at all. So they don't want to take the hit across 2 seasons. They want as much money as possible walking into 2024 as they can. They don't want to divide it up. So they're not going to delay anything on hopes of a trade. So at the end of the day, this news is exciting just because we're here late at night talking about it, but there's probably nothing to it because the Cardinals are probably, I'm not saying that there's no chance a crazy, weird, strange deal would happen in which a team doesn't want to battle with bidders, the highest bidder. Like let's say a team outside of Buffalo and KC wants to get Hopkins, but he isn't extremely interested in going to said team. And so said team doesn't have like a way in to get Hopkins in because Hopkins doesn't want to play for him. That team could trade for him and he'd have to play for him. He's not going to hold out. That team would trade for him because they aren't really in the sweepstakes, but they want Hopkins. That would be a scenario where somebody would come in instead of waiting for him to become a free agent and then trying to get him for free. Someone willing to give up draft capital. And at this stage in the game, the Cardinals would take certainly almost anything. So the draft capital could be like a 4th rounder, just because the Cardinals were going to outright release him. So maybe a team like the Ravens where he said he kind of wanted to play with Lamar. Maybe a team like the Jets where he said he kind of doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to play for Aaron Rodgers, which is really weird. Maybe the Jets say, let's offer a 4th or 5th rounder, whatever it is, just to give the Cardinals something. Will take on Hopkins' contract because they've said they'll spare no expense for A-Rod or a veteran quarterback. They might spare no expense in supporting said quarterback. So if there was a world where this ended up happening, the unbelievable happened between now and tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, it would be a team that is not currently at the forefront of a potential signing. That's why this would get done. Because the Buffalo Bills and the KC Chiefs they're waiting. It's the highest bidder is going to get him of those 2 teams, unless the Eagles get involved last second. He does want to play with Hopkins. Does want to play with Jalen Hurts. Lamar Jackson. If the Ravens came in and they were the highest bidder, he would definitely go there. But he doesn't want to play for the Jets. Now, if you're the Jets, do you want to go trade draft capital, bring in a guy that doesn't want to play for you? I mean, it depends on how firm he is on that. I don't want to play for the Jets. Like he was asked point blank, do you want to play for the Jets? And he went, maybe that can turn into a sure. Sure, you pay me enough, rework my deal. I'll come in and catch footballs from Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see what happens when we go. But he has a no trade clause. Does he? No, he doesn't, Saeed. Because he forfeited that when he tested positive and was suspended. So that went out the window. He no longer can exercise a no trade clause. He ruined that himself and crapped the bed and relinquished the right to reject trade packages. It's not up to him any longer, Saeed. But a great question, my man. Great question, my guy. Let's see if anybody has any phone calls on this topic. If anybody has any predictions, again, for anybody coming in here to try and midnight quarterback this and say, Smitty, this is stupid. There's no legs to this thing. I realize that. I'm here to kind of tell you that. I'm here live because this needs to be talked about, and my interpretation of this, my guesstimation, my guesswork here at the late hours of 1 a.m. almost my time, 4 a.m. East Coast, is that Hopkins probably will still get released at 4 p.m. unless a team that is unable to get him to even listen, is potentially, in their mind, because they haven't really, no one's been able to really tackle this thing until he's officially released, which is so crazy that this is the first time today that this has really been brought up, because He needs to be officially released before he can really exercise some of these options in front of him. So it's kind of crazy that no one's been talking about this. Where's Ian Rappaport been? Where's Adam Schefter been? Where have they been saying that there have been no negotiations yet because he technically has not been released yet? Instead, we heard, I think it was Ian Rappaport, say that he could sign tomorrow. Like, he's actually, I think those words came out of his mouth. He could sign tomorrow when he was talking about Hopkins being released. Apparently not. And maybe the Yahoo report's wrong. I don't really have my hands on the details of the NFL schedule and regulations and all the rules. But according to Yahoo and NBC Sports, Hopkins has not yet been officially released, which is not what we've been told for the last handful of days, as the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes has reportedly been ongoing and teams have been vying for him. I don't understand how everybody's got all these crossed wires on this topic. Will he be released? 90% yes. I only say 10% because a team might say, this is kind of like, think about it like a bidding war for a house. Think about it like much like that. Sick Nasty, again, and thank you for the super chat. Smitty, that movie was fire, huh? Seen it last week. Let me just say the Fast and Furious number 10 was the best of the entire lot. I mean, you could say the one, I forget which one it is, where Jason Statham starts off in the hospital scene and his brother's in the hospital bed and there's like explosions all around, and then he goes into the Rock's office and gets on his computer and the Rock and him fight. That was probably my favorite to date, and I still like that one. I forget which one that was. That one's still one of my favorites. But this one, for some reason, it just, as unbelievable as a lot of the sequences are in this movie, I don't care. I let it all just fall to the wayside, and I just enjoy. But Fast X is probably my favorite of the entire series. It was fantastic. So thank you for asking, Sick Nasty, and I do highly recommend the movie if you like those movies at all. It was really, really good. I'm pumped. I'm pumped that the series has. I think they're going to go potentially 3 more movies, which they were going to end it like 4 movies ago. So I'm so glad. I don't think it could run its course, and I'd rather just them run it into the ground before you end it too early. That's the way I look at things. I could still enjoy. Like, look, what would happen if they ended it 2 movies ago, and we would have said, yeah, they ended it on top. We would have had Fast X. So I'm willing to take the risk. I didn't want The Sopranos to end early or Breaking Bad to end early at the risk of it going downhill. I don't care. What if it went uphill for 2 or 3 more seasons and we were gypped out of that? I'd rather crash and burn a little bit than to, because you can still enjoy all the early stuff. It doesn't taint anything. It was a really good. Fast X was phenomenal. But yeah, Saeed, no trade. He doesn't have a no trade clause. He did, and he ruined that for himself. Took the game to see it last. Took the fam, I think you mean, to see it last weekend. Really liked it. Yeah, it was a really, really good movie. Blackbeard, appreciate you being here. Blackbeard in the house. Let me see on this Moon Man list who I'm waiting to hear from. Let's see. Overcome, got him. B-Men, got him taken care of. Blackbeard, got him taken care of. I'm still waiting on. Let's see here. Aloha, if you're out there, please email me. Peanut Butter Waivers, I'm still waiting to hear from you. Tristan. Pal Derby, waiting to hear from you. Gentlemen, can't wait to see how many Moonmen spots we have left. We probably will have 1 or 2 left by the feel of it right now, but we'll get into it. So the Moonmen cards are on the way. They should be delivered tomorrow. The holiday potentially put a delay on that. Those coming in today. I thought they were going to come in today, but then I forgot the holiday weekend. But Marsmen cards are already in their envelopes. These amazing cards right here, they're already in the envelopes addressed to all the Marsmen. Those are going out today. And then the Moonmen cards will be shipped and sent some point this end of this week, maybe Friday. So get ready for them. Phone lines are open if anybody wants to dial in and discuss or predict or just talk about. Please hit that thumb up button. There's 41 of you in here very late at night. I realize it's about 4 a.m. Eastern, but I wanted to get this breaking news video out. If all 41 of you would punch that thumb up button, I would appreciate it. And let's roll through a phone call or two if anybody wants to dial in and predict any strange unravelings of this release of DeAndre Hopkins, which is fully expected. Yeah, but Aloha, tell me it's you or whatever. I don't know who's who. You got to understand that. So please email me real quick, and put like put something in it. I don't know. Charles T, $10 holler. Hey Smitty, I want in on the Moon Man. Charles T, email me real quick and I'll get you on the short list. But we do have a little bit of a waiting list right now, and there's very few cards left. But Charles T, appreciate you, and you'll be on the short list if there are openings, okay? So appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Blackbeard in the house. My guys. My man, Blackbeard in the building. Charles T dropping just wattage all over the screen already. Look, $12 holler just in the middle of the night here. I love this man. Very blessed indeed says, I want a Moon Man card too. I know you do, pal. I know you do. Hey, Smitty. Can I call in and you review my team just drafted? Sure, Lee. Dial in, Lee. Let's do it as fast as we can. Don't list off all your bench players. Just give me your lineup and let's roll with it. Charles T, very, very much appreciate you dropping this. I want on the Mars League. The Mars cards are already gone. The Moon Man League, we have probably 2 or 3 spots left with a bunch of people trying to vie for it. So hang tight and email me right now. You know my site. When people say, how do I email you? Do you really not know me that much? Are we really not friends? Does anybody not know what my site is? TheFantasyFootballShow.com. Do we really? Are we that divided? You and I, where if I say email me, you can't find my website by now. That it's not on my YouTube. When you go to the corner of the site or the About Us, is it that hard to find? TheFantasyFootballShow.com. Contact me, my man Charles T. Love this man. What do you have to do to be a Moon Man? It's a club and it's purchasing of a membership. Essentially, you're going to get one of these metal cards that are engraved, and this is the Mars card though. This is different, and it gets you into this league, into this club. There's a lifetime membership to thefantasyfootballshow.com that comes with it for the content, and then you're essentially also just a part of a group that we're going to lean on for certain things throughout the course of this entire show's destiny and eternity and lifespan. So when I need to do some things in the future, I'm turning to Moon Men and Mars Men. When we're creating different, clubs and situations or doing different things, organizing different things, I need to come to my people. These are the people, the card holders. And the Mars Men, this was a little bit more of an expensive card because you get a phone line, front of the line access. You just basically dial in, and I've already got all 11 of them. I'm one of the Mars Men, so there's 11. The special 11. They are in my phone system as a Mars Man, favorite queued, slotted ahead of everybody, fast pass entry. And so when they call in, they jump the line. And that was what was so vital about getting one of these, because they're going to fly off the board, is you always get served first. You call in, you have a dire need, you jump straight to the front of the line. Moon Men, they're going to have some perks that I'm going to add to it to make that card special as well. But yeah, Lee, are you calling in or what, Lee? I'm waiting for you, pal. I'm waiting for you. Might need the Venus League going 3 divisions, Fantasy League. There's a potential down the road to add another crew or whatever, but I have to be careful to make sure that I make sure that the top 24 are special, and because this is what was promised in the sale of the cards. There would be 24, and that would be it. It'd be 12 Moon Men and essentially 11 Mars Men cards and memberships. If I start creating different planets in different leagues and I just keep adding to it, I don't know that it holds the same promise that the card had at the onset of it. So not that we can't create other different variations of something else that have a little bit nothing to do with this, but a side potential idea. But as far as, I just can't make everyone a card holder. Or what's the use of having the card? What makes it special? What makes it special? The answer is limitation. Limited number of prints. These suckers, 11 people have them, and myself. Nobody's going to have a Marsman card but the 12. The 12. Where's Lee? Lee was supposed to call in. We were supposed to go over his lineup. This is a better time for me here. 6 p.m. here. Where are you? What's OZ? Oz? Wizard of Oz? Where's OZ? What's OZ? I'm blanking out on what OZ stands for. I realize now at the top of my screen. Okay, Lee, what's up, my guy?
Hey, so I'll just list it off really quickly. It's a redraft, 12-man league, Superflex.
Yeah, just give me the line. Give me the lineup. Don't give me the whole thing.
Okay, cool. I'll start with the QB. I have Trevor Lawrence, Ramondre Stevenson, Cam Akers, Cooper Kupp, Olave, Irv Smith, Drake London, DJ Moore, Christian Watson, and Matt Jones.
Wow. Okay. So C Watt, Irv Smith. You said DJ Moore.
DJ Moore.
Am I missing anybody vital here? Kupp, Olave, London, Christian Watson, DJ Moore, Akers, Stevenson, T. Law. Now, you starting every one of these people you listed off?
Yeah, it's a big lineup.
Yeah, I mean, big lineup like this, you can't be stacked across the board. And if you are, you're going to destroy the league and they're going to all quit. So, like, you have a nice balance here. This is definitely a winning potential team. The only thing I don't love is Akers, even though I don't also hate him. I understand the value. And we're having Christian, like, look at Christian Watson's a third rounder. Olave's a second rounder. Kupp this is a dynasty?
It's redraft.
Oh, redraft. You guys redrafted already?
Yeah.
Or is this best ball?
It's redraft.
Just curiosity. I mean, I love the passion of redrafting in May, but who decided let's do a redraft in May? I like that.
It's just on Sleeper, just paid leagues, and like a bunch of people are using Sleeper ADP, so I'm just taking advantage right now.
Okay, so Cooper Kupp, first rounder. Cooper Kupp is a first rounder. Olave's a second rounder. Maybe not on Sleeper, maybe not on ESPN, but I'm just telling you, you got a second rounder there. Stevenson, third rounder. Christian Watson, third rounder. Drake London, third/fourth rounder, but probably fourth rounder. I already said Stevenson, third rounder. T. Law, fifth or sixth rounder. DJ Moore, fifth or sixth rounder. Like you have a team you shouldn't have. Like, bottom line is your team is straight fire. The only thing I would look to maybe do is maybe try and trade Akers and what's your best couple bench pieces?
Dotson and Charbonnet.
Oh, I love Dotson, bro. Dotson and Charbonnet. Okay, don't trade either one of those. You won't get enough for Charbonnet. You know what I would do? I would trade Akers and DJ Moore for Walker and something. Then you're just ready to go to the ball. Just get dressed up and head straight there.
Gotcha.
Because like you could throw Dotson right into your lineup and place a DJ Moore and keep Charbonnet, trade DJ Moore and Akers for Kenneth Walker, and boom. I mean, I don't know if you could have drafted Walker over DJ Moore.
No, he's already gone.
And this isn't a super flex, right?
It's super flex, yeah.
Oh, it is. Wow, you've really got a good team then. Who's your second quarterback?
He sucks. Gardner Minshew.
What about Sam Howell?
He was already gone. I tried to get him to pair up with Dotson.
Yeah, Minshew's rough. I also try and make trades for like Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, but they're going to be hard to get. Oh boy, Mike White, is he available?
Mike White. Let's see. Yeah, he's still there.
I would make this trade, this 2-for-1 trade, DJ Moore and Akers for Walker if he'd even do it. And if you get so lucky, then just grab Mike White and hope you get like 5. No, I mean, I don't say hoping that I want, Tua to get injured, but Tua is very likely to get hurt. And he's put on a lot of weight. Some say it's muscle. It doesn't look like muscle to me. It doesn't. He's added weight on top of being a concussion risk. Not that he can't shed the weight in time, but I mean, it is June, man. It's the beginning of June practically. And he looks like he put on about 20 lbs, and it doesn't look like, I mean, it doesn't look like fat. Like, it's not fat. It's just mass, like his legs look huge. They're not fat. They're massive, but they're not like cut and ripped up, so they're just like, he's just a big dude right now. He literally looks like I don't know. It looks like he's just been gaining, gains and not cutting and slimming down and then building the right. Like he doesn't look good to me. So all that stuff is just not. You're carrying around more weight. You're hitting the ground harder. He's got a concussion problem. You're gonna have more weight taking you down to the ground at a harder. Like this is the worst idea. Bulking up isn't gonna help you take hits. It has nothing to do with your body taking a hit. It has to do with you hitting your head on the ground. Just a little love tap on the ground. Boom. Little tap on the ground. Guy's out the lights just go out. That's just going to be the way it is moving forward with him. The concussions are going to be, they're going to occur faster and faster. Every time you have a concussion, you are more susceptible to have another concussion. Sometimes Brandon Cooks, those happen, those situations where he was literally going to get concussed every year. And now we haven't seen a concussion for a while. And I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. No one knows. People that study concussions their entire life don't know. They're a mystery. So maybe Tua has some sort of never has another concussion again type situation, but the odds are extremely against it, especially with quarterbacks. And for this man to add more weight and take himself to the ground at more pressure on that neck to hold that head up and just the amount of impact, the pressure, the pounds per what's up, Niner Rick, hang tight real quick. The amount of force going to the ground every time is now increased because he weighs more. Like, it's just a bad recipe. I don't know what in the hell they're thinking. I mean, it might not be Miami's fault. He might have just came in heavy and they're like, Shiat, what are we doing? Hang tight for me, Lee, but work on that trade. Niner Rick, you're live.
What's up, baby? I'm just calling in. I can't believe you're up at 1 a.m. It's 1 a.m. my time.
You can't believe I'm up at 1 a.m.?
Smitty, hey, you're the man, bro. This is what I need right now.
I mean, I'm up all the time, bro. I'm always up. I might be sleep. Sometimes I'll sleep like a bear for 10 hours, and then I'll get 2 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, 10 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. But no, I'm always up. I do a lot of graveyard late night breaking news shows whenever there's breaking news. Remember the Alvin Kamara videotape got leaked? We went live. Aaron Rodgers news that he was going to announce what was going to happen. We go live a lot at midnight, but I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. Niner Rick, are you working right now or are you just up?
I just got home, man. I went out. A friend of mine, she's from work, but she's leaving. She's moving to Arizona, actually. She's moving to your spot, but she's moving to your town.
Okay.
So she had a little going away thing over down at one of the bars here, and I'm in Southern California, Newport Beach, Costa Mesa area.
Okay.
We went out, had a good time. And
what else you got?
Notification. I'm like, I gotta call in. This is a fan right here. It's all love.
What else you got, bro?
To be honest, man, I just want to call in. Me repping the Niner gang. D-Hop's coming to the Niners. I gotta rep it. He's coming to the Niners on a 1 year, veteran minimum contract.
Yeah, minimum contract. Bro hasn't even mentioned the Niners. The Niners aren't even on his no-go list. He gave a good
defense. He said he wants a good defense, a good general management. Everything that he said that he wants, we have.
What about the quarterback? He said he wanted a quarterback. You don't have a quarterback. You don't have a quarterback.
We got Purdy, man.
Purdy isn't there yet. Purdy's not even ready to go.
You're right.
Yeah. Good, nice try though. Nice try. He didn't make the land list. He didn't make the no-go list. He was just in the list that no one talks about. Yeah, bro. That's you Niner fans. I know you're joking, but like you Niner fans are just in your own world sometimes. I love it though. I'm jealous of it. I'm envious of it. You guys think you're landing everybody?
You're in our division too, so You
know what I love more than anything about Niner fans? How much crap you guys talk about other teams that are in the same boat. Like the amount of trash you guys talk in comments everywhere when someone's talking about someone's quarterback. It's like you guys don't even have a quarterback yet, and you talk mad trash. Your own fan base. God love them. Just such a loyal fan base. I'm jealous. I'm literally jealous of your fan base. My fan base here in Arizona, they're fickle. They blow with the wind. Now the reason they do though is because Arizona is a collection of people that are not from here because people come to retire here, and so it's natural to not have as deep of a love for a team when most of the people here are from Canada, most of the people come here from like Chicago and back east because they want warmth. And so we don't have the, if you ask, like you run into like 5 people right now. If I go to the 24-hour Walmart right now and I just walk down an aisle and I go, were you born in Arizona? They'd say no. Are you born in Arizona? They'd say no. Were you born in Arizona? 1 out of every 20 people probably are from here. So that's why our fan base is kind of crappy. But I'm jealous because you guys literally will argue with people about the same problems you have. It's insane. It's insane. And your own fan base can't agree on who your starting quarterback is. You guys as a fan base can't even like both of them. I don't know what is the prerequisite to be a Niner fan, but it is.
We like them all.
No, you don't. No, you don't like them all. Your fan base either hates Trey Lance or they don't believe in Brock Purdy. Your fan base, 80% of the Niner fan base, does not believe in both of them at the same time. Why is that? Why do you guys have to have such a dilemma and fight and just battle within your own fan base about your quarterback? It dates back to Joe Montana. It dates back to Steve Young and Joe Montana. It's always the case. You guys can't just be like, we love both their quarterbacks.
I'm going to tell you the truth, Smitty. With the team we have right now, I could play quarterback for that team, man. And we just, you know what I mean? I could step in there. I could dump it off to McCaffrey, let him do his thing. Debo, Ayuk, Kittle. Our defense is going to be the number 1 defense in the league. That's for sure. Our defense is nasty. And we got Javon Javon Hargrave. We just, our defense is going to be nasty.
Can I tell you this?
Be the number 1 in the league.
Can I tell you this? Your Niner squad is the best team in the NFL from top to bottom, aside from quarterback. You have the best personnel. 90% of Smitty hates the Niners. I don't know what that even means, Scott. I think Scott.
Smitty don't hate the Niners.
Yeah, I know. Scott isn't even hearing 90% of. You want to talk about 90% of one thing? 90% of what I'm saying, I think you're not listening to because I'm giving Niners all kinds of credit. This guy, the Niners. You have the most weapons that you can't use than any team in the National Football League. You literally have like
I agree with
the best engine, the best interior of the car. You have a convertible and a hatchback and door. The doors come off. It seats 15 people. It's faster than any car in terms of the engine, but you have only 4 tires. You can only do so much. Your quarterback situation is limiting, and your coach limits the quarterback in many respects, unless it's Purdy, and so you got to hope Purdy gets out there. And even Purdy, you got to feel him out. We got to see what he's capable of doing. He started to get kind of figured out at the end of the year. Not that he can't overcome that. Someone like Scott in here is going to hear one thing and not hear the positive. Positive is every young quarterback is trying to prove himself and shake free from all these different negative things coming at him and these different, critiques. Like, we're all going to critique Purdy, but Purdy wasn't looking quite as good right up there in that last game at the end. He was throwing potential INTs that got dropped. He was being figured out a little bit, but he still was quarterbacking for one of the best offenses, at least personnel-wise, in the entire National Football League.
Man, that's what I'm saying. Anybody, when most people can step in there. Did you hear about the Purdy rule that the owners passed this year, this offseason?
Yeah.
So that's good for us, because if we would have had a quarterback, we would have beat the Eagles for sure. No doubt about it.
And Purdy, like, you got to give Purdy his flowers, because no quarterback I've seen pretty much, I don't know, that I can even remember, was more prepared to be the starter the moment he was called. And Purdy was prepared. Like, he walked in and knew everything he needed to do. And his pocket presence, he's light. He's decades, ahead of most people in his shoes. Is crazy. Like, his pocket presence was really phenomenal to be able to dance around in the pocket and extend plays. But the problem is he's not healthy. And every person out there that is, including Scott, that thinks that it's going to be a cakewalk for Purdy, that he's just going to step in, that he'll be ready, that Shanahan won't push him, or that he's going to stay upright, because you guys, your scheme is a big reason. Your coach, your play calling, your scheme, and some bad luck. It's all included as to why your quarterbacks keep going down. It's not just dumb. People that say it's just bad luck, it's football. It's football. No, it's not just football. Give me a break.
It is football, man. It is football.
Everybody
It is
knows.
football. Josh Allen runs more than any of our quarterbacks did, and he's just country strong. You know? He just doesn't get hurt,
there are a lot of reasons why the quarterback room is getting banged up, bro. For whether it's scheme, whether it's you've got tight ends, blocking linebackers because of all the movement and pulling you got going on. There's a lot of people have broken it down. There's reasons why.
Yeah, that was stupid.
There's a lot of that going on.
That was stupid to let our third string tight end try and block.
Yeah, but that's the scheme. But that's the scheme.
That.
When you start pulling and moving guys around, you're left with what you're left with, and everybody's got certain assignments that don't change just because that guy shouldn't be blocking this guy. That's just the nature of it. But when your coach calls halfback plunges for your quarterback, that's different than Josh Allen.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either.
And Josh Allen is built to do a little more. Whereas, like, the game that Trey Lance went down, Shanahan ran Deebo Samuel up the gut on a meaningless play to run the clock out. Wasn't trying to get any extra yardage. You were literally going to kneel or run the ball into the ground and just let the clock die. And he ran Deebo Samuel up the gut like a running back when you had, I think Mitchell was healthy that game, or was Mason. You were not down running backs, or you weren't down all your running backs. And he literally let Deebo Samuel run between the tackles in the same game Trey Lance went down. That is my problem with Shanahan. It'll always be my problem with Shanahan. And the people that don't hear what I'm saying, that when I say Shanahan is a bad head coach in a lot of ways, he is an amazing offensive coordinator. And the person that doesn't want to hear what I'm saying says, well, then explain why he's got so many NFC championship rings, Smitty. Explain to me. Offensive coordinator. Explain to me why his offense is always one of the offensive coordinator. Explain to me why this. Explain to me why that. Because he's an amazing offensive coordinator. And his offensive coordinator skills will mask a lot of his coaching. But I'll tell you right now, he was almost coach of the year. You're going to really talk about, he was almost his head was being called for by the fan base until Christian McCaffrey was acquired. And maybe he had a lot to do with that. Maybe
that dude, bro.
McCaffrey saved Shanahan's career, and everyone's going to remember it differently. They're going to laugh and say, "No, you hear this guy?" When Niner fans hear me, they say, "You hear this guy? You hear this guy? What he's talking? This nonsense he's talking." The entire fam. You even look at Twitter, and I know Twitter is more toxic than Instagram, but the Twitter sphere for the Niner communities was calling for Shanahan's head. Just calling for his head. And then when McCaffrey was acquired, which you could attribute some of that to Shanahan, we won't truly know if it was the Shanahan family ties or the John Lynch Stanford ties, a combination that lured the McCaffrey trade into fruition.
We stole McCaffrey, bro.
You stole him,
bro. For a third, a fourth,
bro.
or a fifth, or something like that?
Teams were absolutely stupid to allow the Niners to acquire Christian McCaffrey at a second and third round price tag. That is just plain stupidity.
Crazy.
So kudos to Shanahan for his role in that. And I don't even know if we'll know his role in that. A lot of Niner guys, and you ask, you guys think that I'm just talking out of my rear end here. Raj, my boy Raj, RSF 49ers, biggest Instagram page, biggest Niner community on the planet. Biggest Niner community on the planet. Raj said that was he's even said, I think, like, I don't want to speak out of turn here because I'm going off my memory, but almost with certainty that was a John Lynch move. That McCaffrey being acquired, even though there's some family ties to Shanny, I get all that. But my own boots on the ground, Raj, is telling me that that's a John Lynch move. And it was whether he heard it or not.
John Lynch needs to do that. John Lynch needs to step up.
Right, but that saved his coaching career. People they don't remember that he was 100%. Literally his head was being called for.
Who would be a better coach?
Here's the problem.
Let's say Shanahan lost his job. Who do you think we could hire right now that would be a better coach than Shanahan?
That's the problem. Is everyone thinks because there's no answer for that it means it's not true. There's not amazing coaches just sitting there waiting for a job. You have to pull them away as offensive coordinators. You have to pull them. Look at the Niner coaching tree. That's one thing Shanahan does. It's amazing. Like, if you want to say he does everything bad, no, you can't say that. His coaching trees are phenomenal. Like, so Shanahan, but it's his scheme though. You're pulling people from everything's related to this scheme. He's an amazing savant when it comes to scheming and offensive coordinating, and he's phenomenal at that. He's phenomenal. Like, if you had a different coach and he was the OC, I think you would have won a Super Bowl already in the last 3 years. I really do. If you had
I think
better,
Shanahan has too much pride.
but do you understand what I'm saying? Like that Shanahan is a necessity in this offense.
Because he does run the offense as the head
if
coach.
he was the OC and you had somebody else giving him his players and making the personnel decisions, Shanahan would take it like putty, and he's a savant with it, and he would have won you a Super Bowl. It's crazy to me that, and you can't go backwards.
I think we're going to win
the
the Super
problem.
Bowl this year.
You can't.
We got it. I think
Well,
we got it this year.
you think you have it, but you need to get your quarterback. You can't say that until you have your quarterback, bro. You don't have a quarterback right now. You don't believe in Trey Lance as a team.
What do you think about Trey Lance working out with Mahomes?
Does it matter? Does it matter? Does it matter when your coach is saying that Purdy might be ready for week 1? Purdy's a guy. Trey Lance may never start a game. I think Purdy won't be ready for week 1. If he is, he's rushing it and he's running the risk of re-injury pretty quickly. He's trying to get there to keep his job. But if Trey Lance gets in there and doesn't absolutely explode, he's losing his job immediately. Like what do you think about Trey Lance? It's not Trey Lance's fault, but he doesn't even have that dog in him to go steal the job. He's too nice of a guy.
Well, you know why he got hurt, right? Because in college, he never slid. And then they were trying to teach him how to slide, how to get down, how to slide, how to get down. And when he went to try and slide and get down, someone landed on his leg, and boom, there it goes.
That's your interpretation of it.
I think if he was being himself and tried to run people over like Josh Allen does and doesn't slide, I don't think he would have got hurt there.
Bro, I don't think he was trying to slide on that play. I don't think he was trying to slide on that play. If I remember correctly, he was running up the gut, bro. If I remember correctly, it felt like he was being treated like Derrick Henry when he injured his ankle. I don't know. But what I will also say, though, is that he was taught to slide, and then his coach ran him up the middle between the tackles.
I agree.
What kind of mixed messages?
Too many quarterback draws.
What kind of mixed messages is that? And when asked about your quarterbacks, you say, well, we've got a dual threat quarterback in Trey Lance, and we got a pocket passer in Brock Purdy. What's that about? Like, Brock Purdy runs the ball a ton. Brock Purdy's as good of a runner as Trey Lance in some ways, maybe not as fast, or maybe he wouldn't get as many yards per rush. But why do you hold Trey Lance back? Why do you have a different playbook for Trey Lance? Why does he get the dual threat playbook and you run this man up the gut and you discredit his ability to throw the football? Anyway, Niner Rick, I don't want to keep talking all Niner. I don't want to keep talking all Niners all the time. Speaking of, we got to go to George.
I'm saying D-Hop to the Niners, baby.
He's not going to the Niners.
He's
not going to the Niners, bro. Niner Rick, he's not going to the Niners.
He's on his way.
No, he's not. George from the Bay. George, I don't want to talk a lot of Niners, bro. You get one sentence on the Niners, and that's it.
I actually wasn't calling to talk about the Niners at all.
Okay, hit me with whatever you got. Good.
I want to talk about the upside with this DeAndre Hopkins leaving the Cardinals on Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson is the star in Arizona that's going to be that number one receiver.
He's
and
good, bro.
I've been drafting him in so many best ball drafts in the last 5 days. It's been so crazy.
Well, you saw the moment the news broke that Hopkins was released. It's the first thing I put up. Let me see.
Who? Michael Wilson?
Yeah.
Is he a rookie?
Yeah, he played at Stanford, and he was the number one receiver at Stanford, and he got hurt in one of the games, which hurt his draft stock, and he dropped to the third round. But if he wouldn't have got hurt, he could have easily been a early second-round pick.
Yeah, so when
I'm gonna write that down as a sleeper for me.
Yeah, he's definitely good, bro. That's one of the first things that came out of my mouth when when Hopkins was traded. Everybody kept saying Hollywood Brown bump, and I said, you know what? There's not a player I want on this Arizona Cardinals team for 2023, not one, except for Wilson in a. I wouldn't even say redraft. He's got a lot of value because how are they going to get him the football? But from Dynasty, the only player I love in Arizona from this move, and just in particular, is Wilson. Michael Wilson. The only problem and negative is his injury risk. He's got a lot of injury risk, but he looks like A.J. Brown, plays like A.J. Brown. Just a phenomenal kid. He's big. He's strong. He's fast. He's a great route runner. There are some concerns, obviously, because his draft stock fell because of those, but a lot of them are injury related. But he's the only bright spot for the Arizona Cardinals.
Let me ask you this: if Arizona's like, let's say it's week 10, right, and they've only won like 2 or 3 games, do you think they're gonna bench Murray for the rest of the season, let him come back fresh the next year, and give him the whole year off, or do you think he's gonna play in the end of the season?
I think their goal is to get Caleb Williams, the organization. And I don't know if Gannon's going to be on board. I don't even know how much say Gannon's going to have. I'm not sure what conversations were had when he was hired. Like, you get full discretion as to who we pick and all that. We have no idea. I don't think he does. So Gannon said the only reason
what do you do with Murray then? You trade him?
Oh, yeah. You got to trade him. He'll be healthy at that point. There'll be plenty of teams interested in Kyler Murray. It's not like quarterbacks lose their value like a running back would if a running back doesn't play for a year or two and you just write the player off. Yeah, Kyler will definitely get you what you need in terms of return value. If it's me, like I explained during the entire offseason, if I was the Cardinals, I would have went and got Anthony Richardson. I would have also traded, because they had this number 3 overall pick. I would have traded away Kyler Murray and utilize future whatever draft picks you had to get back up into a spot to get JSN or get Flowers or get somebody and add both Richardson and Flowers, or Richardson and JSN, or draft Bijan and Richardson, or Bijan and whatever. And I would have gone strong that route, and I would do the same thing in 2024. Is I would go, if you end up getting lucky enough to get that Caleb pick, and you're 1.1, you trade up and use Kyler to get back into the top 3, and you take Marvin Harrison Jr. And so, you get both of those guys together. Like, the Cardinals are just, they're just a year away from being a dominant force.
Yeah, but don't forget that the Cardinals have 2 first-round picks next year.
Mm-hmm. So
they do.
They have the whose pick do they have again? They have let's see, Arizona Cardinals. 2020.
So they traded back.
24 draft.
Yeah, so they traded back, and then they traded back up to get Paris Johnson in this draft. But they're building for next year's draft, because next year's draft is going to be way deeper than this one.
Yeah. What team do they have? What pick do they have? Let's see. You have 11 draft picks in 2024, including 2 first rounders, 1 second rounder. But who's the first rounder from? What team is it?
I believe it was Detroit. Right? They traded from 12 to Detroit, right?
Yeah. Pretty sure that was it. I just don't know if they acquired somebody else's first rounder that Detroit had.
What do you think they can get for Kyler Murray, though?
Well, if you couple
Rodgers went for,
if you couple the other first rounder with Kyler Murray, I imagine you could go get 3 overall, 2 overall. Like, that's what I'm saying. If I already have the 1 overall pick and I've got that additional second rounder, if you couple Kyler in that second rounder to get Marvin Harrison Jr. and you get Caleb Williams at number 1 overall, you've just changed your franchise beyond recognition, and it would just be an absolute monster.
It was Houston. They traded with Houston.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So that could be a decent pick. I mean, not that Houston's bad, but that'd be a decent pick. But man, can you imagine if you have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb? Like, you can do that. Look, I'm aggressive. I would do that. I would either run a team into the ground, or I'd turn something around so fast it'd be a championship caliber team within 2 or 3 years. I would be so aggressive that I would make it happen. I mean, it's gonna be amazing if the Cardinals can, but the Cardinals aren't smart enough to do that. I mean, Hopkins even said it. The upstairs, I want to play for a team that's got a smart brass, man. And I don't know that the Cardinals are that smart. I don't know that they are. I would do it, and they wouldn't. They literally keep passing on elite players, generational talent. And not that Najee was generational, but I really was thinking the Cardinals were smart enough to go after Najee, get a between the tackles runner like him. And Bijan, thank God the Cardinals didn't draft Bijan. I love him in Atlanta, but I just, like, if I was the Cardinals, I wouldn't have passed on that opportunity. It's just stupid. It's stupid. These teams that passed on Bijan, every single one of them is going to regret it. You know, I mean, there are teams that needed quarterbacks. I get it, but they're going to regret it. This is Adrian Peterson. This is LaDainian Tomlinson. This is not somebody that you say, oh, draft capital for RBs. Who cares what people do, say, and have done in the past? It means no. That's why the Lions have my respect. I love that the Lions didn't care at all about what was supposed to be. We're the ones making fun of teams for not valuing running backs in the first round anymore. And because the Lions went against the grain and did what we believe to be the right thing, draft an RB like Gibbs in the top 12, that's where he belongs. But because we're so used to seeing teams just discredit running backs and discount them, we're just we're agreeing with it now? Like, Gibbs was absolutely worth a top 12 overall pick. Disagree with it? Get your popcorn ready. He's coming for you. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a baller.
I agree with that for sure.
I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to ball, bro. He's going to be a 65 reception rookie running back. 55 at least. I'll be disappointed if it's anything less than 55. It'll be a 65 plus reception season, I think. He'll be 2/3 wide receiver, 1/3 running back. You got people saying Monty. Monty has nothing to do with it.
Is Gibbs the one you were upset about on draft day? They got robbed by the Bears or something like that. Who was the one you were upset about? I can't remember. Was it Gibbs?
Bears.
Remember the Bears had the pick right after the team that took him?
Oh yeah, I think we were upset at first because Swift was there, and then it took us about 2, 3, 4 minutes before we started going, Swift's gonna get traded. He's gonna get traded. This will be fine. He'll get traded. If Swift was there, it was a potential problem, because it's just too many running backs to be there. But even if Swift had stayed, he'd fell so far out of favor by the end of the week. It was like, this guy's not going to even be used. They're going to trade him. As soon as he was traded, he went. It was just one of those things. Even Walker landing in Seattle, it was not initially ideal, and then it became fantastic. So, sometimes your expectations make you react a certain way, but Swift being on the roster was a potential problem, but we knew it minutes after the draft happened. We're like, he's getting traded. We're excited about this spot. This spot could be fire. This spot could be real fire. Swift talk ensued, and we knew exactly what we're dealing with, and it's like, okay, this is a great place for him.
Yeah, my first initial reaction to the draft day, I was really upset with the way it played out and the way that these players landed in certain spots, but as time's gone on and the moves that teams have made and the reports coming out of some of the training camps, I'm actually starting to open up a little bit more to like the QJ in LA, because, Mike Williams is always injury prone. So QJ could have a big year. I love the Flowers move now. But Charbonnet in Seattle, it's like I'm probably staying away from the Seattle backfield. But like you said, if I'm going to get one of them, I got to try to get both of them. That's the thing when I'm drafting.
Can I show you guys? Can I show you guys a start to my best ball poodle draft right here? This beginning is, in my opinion, the smoothest start that I could think up. And I know that I'm still going to be battling for for wide receivers in a 3 wide receiver mandatory format. I get that. But I have a theory this year that people are overvaluing wide receivers too much. And I think there's an advantage in building a team where you can start 3 running backs and three wide receivers. And when you think about it logically, like we've always thought from the beginning of fantasy football, running backs are harder to get. And while you can go hero and you can scoop up a bunch of running backs, and in best ball, all you need is a couple guys to step in and everything. It's still there's so many wide receivers. If you believe in your wide receiver drafting, then, you will actually, control and monopolize the running back, market. And I think it's crazy to discredit running backs to the point where when you could start 3 of them, you act like it's a forgotten position in best ball. It's 3 wide receivers and 3 running backs if you use your running back as a flex. But look at this start. This to me was my best start I believe I've had. Hurts, Well, Bijan was first. I went Jalen Hurts second. I took Jahmyr Gibbs in the third, which, I don't condone on the regular. You do it when you got to do it. I took Drake London after that, and I got Kenneth Walker after that. But I got Bijan, Gibbs, Kenneth Walker. I'll get Charbonnet. I've got Hurts and Drake London. That's a phenomenal start.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's why you got to take McCaffrey number 1 overall,
No.
McCaffrey is
He's
dude,
too injury prone. Kyle's gonna run him into the ground.
Yeah,
it's like
Niner Rick, I'm not saying I wouldn't take him in. I've definitely taken him in best ball drafts. Like, I want a certain share of McCaffrey. If he does squeak out one more year without any injuries and such, I want to be a part of that. Who doesn't? McCaffrey's absolutely the man, and this offense just is built around him. It's phenomenal to watch. But from a fantasy football perspective, bro, take your bias out a little bit and just think about it. We were writing this guy off. Before he was traded to the Niners. It was kind of a disappointing, season for him a little bit in Carolina. He had not stayed healthy yet for 2 years. And we really, from a fantasy football, like, just the entire community across the board was like, I don't know if he's got this one more year left or not. And now we're back to he has 1 or 2 more years when we barely thought he had a chance at 2022 playing a full year. And now he's back to tremendous utilization, being utilized more than any other RB in the game for his offense. Being a bigger part of the offense than anybody in football is what got him in the mess to begin with, to not be able to stay healthy for 2 straight years. So he takes care of his body like no other running back. I like that he does it on his own. He does not put his destiny in any other person's hands, trainers. He literally will take all that for himself. And I love that, because that could maybe he knows his body best. He does all these amazing things to keep his body fresh and heal. But if we're going to pretend like he's got 2 years left, and not even act like 1 year's really a little bit of a risk, when he was essentially written off as being reliable for even one more full season prior to that Niner trade, I think we're just getting caught up in the nostalgia. At some point, he's falling off, and the dude's been overworked to the max. He's been the highest percentage of his offense pretty much his whole career. More than any other player is the highest percentage of their offense on their team. And so the mileage, he catches a lot of passes. I get it, but he's also a smaller, type back too. He's not the biggest guy. He's not tiny, but he's not big, and he's taking a beating. So, like, if I was to say, give me Bijan or CMC, who's going to play more games? I'm not saying it's impossible for CMC to play more games, but I'm going to bet on Bijan. But I know Niner.
I think even if Bijan played 3 or 4 more games than McCaffrey would still outscore him in fantasy points overall.
I mean, he could. He's
that much better.
It's a good argument. I mean, to say, like, and not only that, Niner Rick, you're going to have replacements for those games where McCaffrey doesn't play. So your 17 some total starts, let's say 14 of them are McCaffrey, the other are another player, is probably still going to outscore Bijan potentially. Maybe not. So I get what your point is, but, and it's a good point to make, but is McCaffrey at risk of more than that? Is McCaffrey at risk of just having some sort of completely unraveling type of season where he plays 4 games, misses, comes back? I mean, do you guys remember the 2 years of that? It was so hard to forgive McCaffrey and trust him again. Because
it was an ankle, it was a hamstring.
It was bad, bro. It was bad. It was like he came back and you're like, this guy's done. This guy's washed. He's done. It's not his fault. He was amazing for so many years. But that uncomfortable conversation, I'm going to have a video on McCaffrey and Kelsey, and we're going to have a real uncomfortable conversation about what are the likelihoods of both these guys or one of them not finishing as a top 10 player at their position, not because of talent. If they're on the field, both of them are number 1 or number 2 at least. I mean, Kelsey's number 1 for sure. McCaffrey 1, 2, or 3 overall for running backs if he plays even remotely close to a full season. But what are the odds that neither one, or at least one, does not finish top 10 at their position due to injury? It's not the craziest thing. Like, it's an uncomfortable conversation to have.
Here's the thing. Now I'm gonna get into my little Niners spiel. I was trying to hold back and not get into it, but I'm gonna get into it. The thing with Kyle Shanahan is what he's gonna do is he's gonna run McCaffrey nonstop, 25 touches until this kid breaks his knee or breaks his ankle, gets hurt, concussion, something, and he's going to be out for 4 or 5 weeks. Well, the safe play is Bijan because, he's got Algier. They're going to be doing a wider offense over there in Atlanta. He's not going to be the main focal point. So the risk injury is lower with Bijan because he's not going to be getting 30 touches a game like McCaffrey is.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were coming in.
My argument to that is Atlanta's offense total compared to the Niners offense isn't even close. So that's why I was saying even if McCaffrey played 12 or 13 games and Bijan played all 17 games, McCaffrey would outscore him in those 12 or 13 games.
If he doesn't,
in a fantasy perspective, overall for the season, he's going to outscore Bijan.
Yeah, but not when McCaffrey misses 6 to 7 games.
Yeah. Remember, Niner Rick, you're predicting that he misses 6 or 7. Yeah. Hold on. Niner Rick, your mentality is that he's Superman still, and that he can't. Like, what if he misses significant time? And then when he comes back, he's still hampered. And so you're predicting him to have an injury that he 100% gets over. And we would agree with you. If he missed 2 or 3 games, he probably still finishes near number 1 running back overall if he's the exact same player and there's no problems.
Well, look,
but I think, hold on, real quickly, hold on.
If ifs and buts were candies and nuts,
we'd
all be happy and fat. You know what
I think you're discrediting the Atlanta Falcons' ability to make Bijan as productive as CMC just because the offense is not as fire as the Niners' potential offense could be. Because you got to understand your Niner offense is not what you think it is unless you have a quarterback out there consistently being able to facilitate and utilize all of it. You have one quarterback that's just utilizing 1/3 of the entire offensive capacity. It's like when people say you can only use 10% of your brain or whatever, that whole, which has been refuted or whatever. But if you could only use 10% of your brain, it doesn't matter how amazing your brain is. Like, you're not able to use it all. That's the way the quarterback position's been for the Niners. And to discredit what Atlanta's been able to do without Kyle Pitts in there, without Bijan in there, making things even better, Algier rushed for 4.9 yards per carry. Like, if Bijan gets 255 carries, 300 carries, 290 carries, he's going to produce as well as Christian McCaffrey.
And Algier was rushing in a halftime role, too. He wasn't even the full starting running back.
Yeah, so to say that McCaffrey's going to blow him out of the water, that's just not accurate because Bijan is as good as McCaffrey.
Every quarterback we have on our roster, Darnold, Lance, or Purdy, is better than Desmond Ridder.
That is to be determined, bro, because you're making an assumption.
Okay, Darnold and Purdy for sure.
No.
Darnold and Purdy for sure.
Darnold is garbage, bro.
Niner Rick.
You start Darnold, you're gonna lose.
Look, I know you're a Niner fan, so am I. Okay, I live here in the Bay Area. I love the 49ers, but have you ever watched any film of Desmond Ridder at Cincinnati in college?
Just be honest.
No, not college. I have not. I don't follow college too much, but in the pros is different though.
The pros, and then come into the pros. In the pros, hold on. In the pros, he played 5 games, and he played 5 games without one of the best tight ends in the National Football League. He played 5 games with
and
just.
What does Trey Lance play?
Doesn't matter.
What does Trey Lance played without McCaffrey?
But no one's saying that Trey Lance can't be elite. I think Trey Lance can be elite. I just don't think he'll get the chance.
I'm saying Darnold and Purdy. I don't know about Trey Lance, so I can't speak on that. But I know Darnold and Purdy will do better than.
Why are you saying Darnold? Why is the word Darnold coming out of your mouth for being good at all? I don't even know where that's coming from, bro. Have you seen Darnold play football before? Have you seen Darnold play football before?
Let me ask you this: you want to talk college? Who had a better college career, Sam Darnold or Desmond Ridder?
I'm not sitting here saying that the college has anything to do with it. You're the one that brought college up. or both of you brought college up. I'm saying Sam Darnold, what he is today, is a garbage quarterback. I don't care what he did in the past. We've seen Darnold fail, and Darnold is not a good quarterback. You start Darnold, you probably won't make the playoffs if you start Darnold as your quarterback. I don't know what makes you think that's like some kind of path to victory, bro. Purdy is proven to be efficient in this offense. Darnold, who knows if Darnold can even run Kyle Shanahan's system. Kyle Shanahan's system is a tough offense to run. I don't know that Darnold is just going to walk in and be some absolute like undervalued, just nobody saw him coming type of rebound performance out of him. Ritter, you know what's funny about Ritter? Ritter had one weapon last year. That was Drake London, and London was on pace for over 1,300 yards under the command of 5 starts with Ritter. He was on pace for an amazing little season. Ritter didn't have Kyle Pitts. Ritter didn't have Bijan Robinson. And now he gets Bijan and Kyle Pitts, and he still has London. He has so many weapons at his disposal. And I love that people think that what he did in 5 games last year with no preparation, no Pitts, no Bijan, you can just carry over and say this is who he is. How do you know that Ritter's not going to be so much more efficient than you can imagine when 2/3 of his offense wasn't even on the team last year, bro? 2/3 of his weaponry. What?
Want to put a little side bet on it? Desmond Ridder versus whoever plays for the Niners as quarterback.
No, what are you talking about? You're trying to argue a point that has no merit. No one's saying Ritter's the second coming of Tom Brady or that Ritter's an amazing player or anything. He's being discredited. He's being totally overlooked. We're just saying you're acting like Ritter's story's already been told. And we're just saying that he could be Goff-like. He could be Goff-like. I'm not saying he'll be top 5 to 10, like top 5 to 7 for fantasy. I'm saying he could be not Goff last year. He could be Goff like previous years. And if Ritter is Goff-like,
all I'm saying,
Bijan to the moon,
all I'm saying is that whatever Niner quarterback ends up playing for majority of the season will do better than Desmond Ridder.
And they should.
I'm not saying his story's been
and
told
they should, bro. But Darnold.
So what happens if Desmond Ritter's not that guy, and all he has is Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and then they stack the box on Bijan? What's going to happen?
Well, why did this not happen last year with Tyler Algier and no Kyle Pitts? The Falcons put up a fight, bro.
They didn't even play Desmond Ridder.
Hey, look, the Falcons are going to surprise. The Falcons are going to surprise a lot of teams this year.
I know. I can't wait.
Everyone's going to be like, yeah.
Hey, can I also say something? You know who beat the Niners? You know who beat the Niners? Bro, you know who beat the Niners last year? The Falcons.
The Falcons did.
The Falcons beat your You let the Falcons beat you?
Touche, Smitty, they did.
Hey, but Jimmy Garoppolo started that game.
You let the Falcons beat. I thought any quarterback could do it. I thought this was plug and play. Bro.
The only downside was Trey Lance.
Got him.
Go ahead.
Hey, so you say that the 49ers are way much better than the 49ers and all that. Well, rushing the football, that's not actually true. They averaged, the Falcons averaged 4.9 yards a carry, and the 49ers averaged 4.7. And the 49ers with McCaffrey got 20 rushing touchdowns, and the Falcons without Bijan got 17. So the stats say that they're
how many of those did Mariota have? How many of those touchdowns did Mariota have?
I have no idea.
Check that stat. How many touchdowns did Mariota have? He had like 8. He probably had like 8 rushing touchdowns. 8, almost half.
Hey, can I circle back for a second? You guys are trying. What's trying to be argued right now is the Niners equal the Falcons, and no one's saying that. The Niners should be the number 1 team in the National Football League because of the amount of talent you guys have on that team. So okay, but why are we arguing the Falcons and the Niners? We're arguing Bijan. We're arguing one player, the running game. We're not arguing anything else. The Niners don't guarantee themselves a better game on the ground than the Falcons, just like was just highlighted by whoever said that. I don't know if it was George from the Bay or Adam. But it was...
That was Adam.
Yeah, Adam. Good point, Adam. The Niners, McCaffrey is half wide receiver. Okay, so Bijan can outrush him with ease.
Like week 8.
McCaffrey can outrush him with ease. With ease, he can outrush him with ease. Will McCaffrey outscore him fantasy wise? Probably could or should if he plays near a full season. But could Bijan
is just a younger version of McCaffrey.
Bijan
they have the same skill. They basically have the same skill set.
Bijan could catch 45, 50 receptions in 2023. He could run over 13. Bijan could lead the league in rushing. He could be the number 1 rusher in the National Football League as a rookie at 1,500 yards on the ground easily. I wouldn't even be surprised. I'll be disappointed if he's not the number 1 runner in the National Football League in terms of rushing yards. The question is, how much will he really be used in the slot, like Arthur Blank and the Falcons have reported? And I believe, based on Bijan confirming it, based on what they've said about it, based on his ability to catch the football and be the most dominant, no holes in his game, wide receiver / running back / wide receiver in the game, I think the Falcons would be crazy not to exploit that, and I think they will. And I think it'll relieve.
How much do you think Algier is going to eat into Bijan?
It's not about eating in. Zero. It's not about eating in. It's about keeping Bijan under a certain number. So he will be a necessity to keep Bijan healthy, so that by week 10, the length of 10 or 11, by the length of a college football season, roughly, you don't want Bijan hitting a brick wall and taking 3 or 4 weeks to get through it. You want him to hit a brick wall, because he will. Every rookie hits a rookie wall. You want him to hit it about week 9 or 10. Hopefully the bye week. When's the Atlanta Falcons bye week? Hopefully, where's that bye week? Let's see. Bijan.
13.
Bye week 11.
11.
11.
Perfect.
Week 11.
Perfect. Couldn't have been, I didn't even remember, couldn't be more perfectly placed. You want Bijan to potentially hit that rookie wall right when he goes on a bye and be healthy enough through spelling, but eating into his workload, not a concern at all. Not the right choice of words, I think, because Bijan will get fed at the end of the day more than you possibly will want him to be fed.
In goal line situations, you think they're going to use Algier or Bijan?
No. Why would you? I mean, is it possible they do some sort of small rotation to keep Bijan fresh? Like, sure. Like, if they take him out when Bijan rips off a run all the way down to the 5-yard line, he needs a breather. Algier comes in and punches one in. That's normal. But Bijan is the best run. He is probably, in my opinion, right now, without even taking a snap, the best running back in the National Football League. I'm not taking the ball out of his hands when I need a touchdown.
I agree as well.
Yeah. It's a good question, but
they wouldn't have taken him. They wouldn't have taken him with the 8th overall pick. The best running back in the league.
Yeah, I didn't stutter, did I? I didn't stutter, did I? Am I not allowed to predict a forecast? Do I have to watch a player take a snap? Do I have to be an obvious Oscar before I can actually say something, bold about a player? You know what I'm saying? Of course I can say that. It's my show. I'm not saying you're saying I can't, but I'm going to come out here and predict. How's that bold?
Look, Bijan is Saquon 2.0. He's going to be better than Saquon. And everybody was in love with Saquon the first 3 years that he was in the league.
Yeah. Bro, I don't want to be an I'm not going to wait and be an obvious Oscar and be like, oh, okay, after we've already waited for the world to catch up to us, bro. We were saying he's the running back 1 or running back 2, number 1 overall, number 2 overall, number 3 overall, even in redraft, even though we said don't do it yet, hold back before you actually take him there. And people would make comment after comment. You guys are crazy. Bijan top 6 overall in a redraft mock draft. What are you guys doing? The whole world's caught up, bro. The whole world now sees him as number 3 overall. Number 3 or 4. Number 3, if the 2 wide receivers go 1 and 2, Christian McCaffrey goes 3. Bijan's number 4 in almost everyone's mind.
You know what's going to happen, Smitty, is in the first preseason game when Bijan is shaking and baking and making people miss, he's now going to start going 1 and 2 overall in these best ball drafts.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter if it's preseason. He could take some kind of.
I agree with that, but number 1, oh no.
Well, that's what people said. That's what people said to us when we said 4, 5, and 6, bro.
I don't understand that. Why people don't think Bijan can go number 1? Because I'm tell you right now, I took Bijan number 1 in best ball literally a couple of days ago, right before one of my very last drafts. And the reason
in a dynasty
draft
league,
that I got.
Anybody that says in a who said in a dynasty
league? If you think
league?
Bijan is going to be the number 1 fantasy player, then you take him number 1. It's simple as that. It's either
who said in a dynasty like a redraft isn't in consideration too? Who was that? Was that George or was that Niner Rick?
That was me.
Niner Rick.
I would not in a redraft league. I agree with top 5. But I would take Justin Jefferson over him, Jamar Chase over him.
And you're fine. You're fine taking those guys
over him.
You're fine taking those guys over him. There's nothing wrong with it. But similarly, you should be looking at it the same way from the other side of that. Like, there's nothing wrong with taking Bijan 1, but I like McCaffrey. But you're literally doing the same thing everybody did when we took them 4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, and 6. I'd take them like 14. I'd take Bijan 4. You know how many people said that over and over for months and months? Where are those people now? They're taking them 4, 5, and 6. Where we were taking them, and now we're taking them 2, 3, 4. Everyone's behind, bro. It's fine. Niner Rick, I don't blame you.
I agree at number 4. I would take those 2 receivers and McCaffrey before him. I would take Jamar Chase or JJ or McCaffrey, and then I put Bijan right there at number 4. I'm not saying he's not great. He's going to be great. But if you put him ahead of those players before he's proven anything, I just in a redraft league, I just can't do it. In a dynasty league, yeah. But Justin Jefferson's proven. He has more yards than anybody in the first 2 or 3 years of his career than anybody ever, even Jerry Rice.
Well,
he's going to do it again.
You're okay to like him there. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think if someone's going RB,
take Justin Jefferson number 1 or any of those people. I'm just saying Bijan is in that category.
Right. He's 1, 2, or 3. He's 1, 2.
One fantasy player. You take him.
He's 1, 2, or 3 to me. If it's a 3 wide receiver mandatory and only 2 running backs, you can't even start a 3rd running back. I'd probably take Chase or JJ1. But that doesn't mean he's not the number 1 running back to me. He's the number 1 running back to me. And that's not a knock on what seems.
Let's not forget last year in all the drafts, the first round was heavy running back. And there was a huge explosion with wide receivers last year. Wide receiver numbers went through the roof. So now this year, everyone's chasing that, which is bringing all these running backs down to round 2, which is extreme value, which is what Smitty was talking about. It's like everyone's pushing this wide receiver chase. Obviously Chase is good. JJ's good, right? But last year there was 8 running backs being taken in the first round.
Yeah. Do you remember when we said Bijan in 2022 walking? I don't know how many of you were watching the show back then, but in this time frame last offseason, maybe a little bit later though, like July or whatever, I said Jamar Chase is a top 4 overall player. And he was my number 1 wide receiver. Now he got hurt. And take a lap on me that JJ was outscored him. Chase didn't finish as the number 1 wide receiver, but that was laughable then. And now he's the number 1 pick pretty much across the board over JJ. And so like sometimes I'm a year early. I'm not saying I land everything. I'm definitely not perfect, but I feel like we're on the right track, and sometimes we're ahead, and that's okay. And sometimes we need to dial back how excited we are about a player and not ruin the opportunity of stealing him away at the other perceived values of that player. Because if we go out and start, like we like Gibbs, if we go out and start drafting Gibbs at 3.1 instead of 3.7, 3.6, 3.5, like the earliest, but we're talking Gibbs in round 4 is where we win leagues. If we don't take advantage of that, then we're shooting ourselves in the foot and missing a real opportunity. And we're getting impatient. So it's just it's like Bijan when he was going 14 overall. Do you guys remember my video about, what was it, 3 months ago? It was the best draft strategy for 2023. And looking back at it, it absolutely was. And you can't do it anymore. It was draft Jamar Chase in round 1, Bijan in round 2, Joe Burrow in round 3. And I have people in the comments of that video today going, "You can't do this, you idiot." Like, of course you can't now. It's an old video. It's a 3-month-old video. Bijan, you could get in the middle to late second round in the very beginning of the offseason when the best balls opened up. And you could crush your league going Jamar Chase, and he would fall to like 2 or 3, going Jamar Chase, Bijan, Joe Burrow. It was my favorite 3 players to draft, my very favorite start of a fantasy football draft. And in that video, I have these late, Luigis that come into the comment section that don't look at the date and they go, "You can't do this, you stupid idiot. This guy's advice is stupid." He's an absolute moron. He's a stupid moron. Smitty, that's tough.
Maybe, you know
I'm
what?
gonna get McCaffrey. I'm gonna get McCaffrey and Bijan.
wide receivers.
Hold on. Let's go with the McCaffrey. Hold on. I don't know who's talking right now, but hold on. I'll go to you next. Someone was talking about McCaffrey, and then we'll go over to the wide receiver comment. Go ahead. A McCaffrey comment?
If I get McCaffrey and Bijan, imagine that.
Yeah, well, not anymore. You could have.
That's impossible.
You could have. It was there. Chase, Bijan, McCaffrey, Bijan. Laughable now, but doable in the early part of the offseason. The first Best Ball Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Link in the description of every one of these videos. Make sure if you want to draft with us on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, graveyard shift at midnight Eastern, you get on that now and click that link in the description. Use promo code Smitty. The link will insert it for you. They'll match up to $100 in your first deposit. When the first slate of Best Ball drafts opened up on Underdog, you could get Bijan at 18, at 20, at 21, and we laughed at it. You could get Gibbs in the fifth round. And you know what? I'm still laughing in the face of every single person I draft with in a best ball draft when I get in there by myself. I don't have you guys in there hunting down these players like I am. And you have people letting Gibbs fall to 4.4, 4.5, and I'm just grabbing him with a smile, laughing in their face. Just laughing. I just can't wait.
I would have loved that.
Go ahead, wide receiver comment. Who is that?
That's me, Adam. So what I was going to say is, everyone's talking about everybody's so high on the wide receivers and stuff, but the wide receivers weren't even the highest scoring players last year, besides quarterback. It was McCaffrey and Eckler, right? Is that right? Those two? I think they were both higher than Jefferson, who was the highest wide receiver. And
yeah.
One thing I don't think people don't take in consideration, and I believe that running back is the most important position, is because if you get a running back who can, if you have a kind of like Barkley, he could get you 100 yards and a touchdown, and then he could also catch, 4 or 5 catches maybe, and then get some yards and a touchdown with that way too. A lot of wide receivers, you're only going to be able to get so much, and a lot of wide receivers can be taken out of the game. Certain running backs, they're game proof. No matter how the game is going, like, you can still get points even in a blowout, and they might be getting catches, trying to go down the field in 2-minute drills or whatever. Like, I don't think people think about that kind of stuff enough.
Yeah. All right, hey guys, I'm probably wrap it up here. Let me go to you one at a time. George from the Bay, final thoughts, bro.
Yeah, great show. A lot of good comments on the phone. Adam made a really good point just now about the running backs. The one thing I do want to say before I get off is Brock Purdy started 46 games in college. Trey Lance started 17. So keep that in mind when you're judging Trey Lance.
Yeah, and also Trey Lance, never played with CMC. Brock Purdy, you guys wouldn't even be mentioning his name right now if he didn't play with CMC. It's the brutal truth. I mean, Niner Rick, you can take it however you want, but if Brock Purdy wasn't handed Christian McCaffrey like Trey Lance was not handed, you wouldn't even be mentioning his name. You wouldn't be saying, "Oh, this is our starter. This is our guy. He's a dog." Wouldn't. The team would have collapsed. You guys wouldn't have made the playoffs. It wouldn't have been a remotely similar situation whatsoever. Now, it is what it is. The situation, you can't separate situation from player. He plays with Christian McCaffrey, whether anybody likes it or not. So he will be the Purdy we know if he's healthy. Probably be the Purdy we know if he's healthy, which is a good player that could facilitate in a Kyle Shanahan amazing scheme. He's a savant of an offensive coordinator, despite all the negatives I say about as a head coach. And that's what it is. But I would love to see Trey Lance get a fair shot to play with Christian McCaffrey as well. Because Trey Lance has gotten the crappiest hand I've ever seen in my life for a guy that's supposed to be the heir apparent in San Francisco. 3 first-round picks, never given a fair shot. Goes in, wins a Houston Texans playoff implication type game. Wins, gets pulled after he wins, and helps the Niners secure a playoff spot in 2021. Secures a playoff spot, wins, And I even go on a live stream, on Raj's live stream on Instagram with like 500 people in the room. And I said, after Trey Lance won that Houston Texan game, oh, playoff, oh my God, we're making the playoffs. Now the Niners are in the playoffs. Trey Lance is amazing. He's him. They finally put him in. And I remember going right live after that. And I said, if Kyle Shanahan benches Trey Lance after that amazing win, and Trey Lance was good at that game. Okay, he did play well. The last time he played a full game that wasn't in a mud bowl like week 1 against Chicago, in a total mud bowl. No one was throwing. The last game he started, he was great. And if he gets benched, Raj, going into the playoffs, and Jimmy G comes in, I'm going to lose my mind. And I remember Raj and the boys looked at me and said, he's not going to, no, it's not go there. He's not going to bench. And then the next day, it was a little ambiguity. Then the next day, more ambiguity. The next day, and by the end of the week, everybody was slowly pulled back into Jimmy G's probably going to be the starter. We're not sure who the starter is. And it was like everyone was slowly adapting to it. But if you had told the fan base right after that game that Trey wasn't starting week 1 and you didn't do it slowly throughout the week, you would have had an eruption. And this kid was not given a fair shot. He goes into week 1, total mud bath. Just absolute field was full of mud. Nobody could throw, nobody could do anything. Goes into week 2, and it's raining. And he breaks his ankle, on the third, or it was like the third reception or third completion or fourth. I don't know, it was like really early on in the game. We haven't seen him. And that's part of a negative, right? That's a negative. We don't know what Trey's going to do. We have no track record at all. Guys haven't played a long amount of games in a row in forever, years since 2019 essentially. So the guy's just been sitting there with cobwebs all over him, and now his confidence is completely shattered probably, and I doubt he has very much confidence right now anyway, because he's already being told the job's not his. You're going in and the job's not yours. Do you know how hard it is? And this, he's a big boy. He's getting paid millions of dollars. He's in the National Football League. I don't feel that bad for him. But can you imagine what it feels like to be him, know that your team surrendered 3 first-rounders for you and they don't even think you're the starter anymore? Like that is, and you haven't even been given a shot. That just sucks. And I blame Shanahan fully. This guy should have started week 1. What a great job you did, Coach Shanahan, where you didn't win a Super Bowl and you could have got Trey Lance ready that entire season. You could have prepared him like every other smart coach with personnel and get your rookie quarterback as adapted as they can get going through a very rough, rocky rookie year, and then he could have came in on fire. And who knows, maybe he wouldn't have broke his ankle. Maybe he would have had a better command of the offense. Who knows? But all we know is Trey Lance has not been given Christian McCaffrey, so I would love to see what he does with him. And who knows if he even gets a shot. They might even trade him. They might start Sam Darnold weeks 1, 2, and 3. Brock Purdy comes back in week 4, and Trey never gets to start. Ever. It's going to be absolute madness. I appreciate you, George. Who was that? George from the Bay?
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks, pal.
All right, talk to you later.
Later. Niner Rick, final thoughts.
Closing statement would be, according to PFF, Purdy since he started, the number 5 overall quarterback in the league, right behind Jalen Hurts. So it was like Mahomes was number 1, Allen was number 2. I can't remember the rest. I think Tua was in there, Hurts, and then right there, Brock Purdy. So according to all the stats, the best ranked quarterbacks in the league, Purdy was number 5 in that before he got hurt. So, it is what it is. Whether you say it was because he got McCaffrey or whatever, that's fine, because that's our offense. That's what we got. We still got McCaffrey. We still got Debo. We still got Kittle. We still got Ayuk. And we're about to get D-Hop. So everything's going to be fine.
D-Hop, get out of here, Rick. All right, Niner Rick. Appreciate you, man. We're gonna hang up on you on that.
You guys.
We're gonna hang up on him on that one. Later, pal.
Finish him.
Gonna get D-Hop. Bro, D-Hop hasn't even mentioned the Niners as a team he doesn't even want to play. He's not even on his mind. Adam, final thoughts. Guy thinks he's getting everybody.
Yeah, I think Rick is disrespecting Ritter a little too much.
Oh yeah, everybody is.
I think he might regret talking about how the quarterbacks on the Niners are better than I mean, the only one on the team that truthfully probably has the talent, like athleticism and his confidence is shot, is Lance. I think Purdy is going to be fine. I think he'll probably come back. I don't think Purdy is a bad quarterback. I think he's probably similar to like a good game manager, maybe like I don't know, Alex Smith, maybe an old 49er.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are propping Purdy up too much. He's good. He's got an okay arm, very, very astute, and so mentally prepared. Like that goes a long way. And that's why I think the team respects him.
I hope he does good enough, get himself a contract. I mean, he's playing for what? Or did they give him any kind of extension? I don't know.
He reminds me of a better Jimmy G. Like when Jimmy G was pre-ACL 2019, much better version of that. But I do not think he's a top 5, like even remotely close to a top 5 quarterback. Like he's not a top 5 quarterback. I think Niner fans are hopeful of that. I don't blame them. But he's nothing close to a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League. Like that top 5 is electric and elite and it's young and it's going to be there for a decade. He's nowhere near that. He can't even get a seat at the table. But could he be borderline 8 to 14? You know, and I say 8 because I want to give him some respect of ability to climb, but 14 because it's a deep, QB pool. Is he borderline 8 to 14? I mean, sure. Sure, there's that potential, and the offense is so good right now. But what happens when Kittle falls off? What happens when Christian McCaffrey falls off? Remember what I said. If Christian McCaffrey was not there, we wouldn't even be mentioning his name walking into 2023. He'd be forgotten. Like he was a waste. That's why he's the last pick in the draft. He didn't do anything. We would have forgotten about him because McCaffrey was the glue to that situation, and he amplified everything around him. And so if he falls off in a year or two, Kittle falls off because Kittle abuses his body like no other tight end. This is like Gronk, just abusing his body over and over. Kittle's going to have a very short career because of the way he treats his body, and he goes 100%, every time, and he's really aggressive. He's got, even Raj said this, he's got 1 to 2 years left before we really see Kittle just kind of drop off because of how aggressive he is. He's even said he doesn't know how long he can play. He's not playing 4 years. The window is 1 to 2 years for the Niners. And once Kittle and Purdy drop off, once Kittle and McCaffrey drop off, Brock Purdy does not have the same offense whatsoever. So he becomes, the lights come on. Similar to Jimmy G, the lights came on. And everybody's seeing what Jimmy G is now. You know how much heat I took over the last couple months talking so badly about Jimmy G going to the Raiders. And now look at everybody. Everybody's just piling it on. There's a complete mess, regretful signing, probably going to get cut if he can't pass his physical. If Jimmy G fails his physical again, and Jimmy G failed his physical, which is why the delay happened in announcing him signing with the Raiders because they had to rework his contract, take his signing bonus away, and say, you lied to us, you lying mother effer. And so now you fail your physical. We're not going to give you the contract that we said we're going to give to you, you liar. And you're going to go ahead and we're going to take your bonus, your signing bonus, put it into your salary, and you've got to pass your physical and start a game, play a full game uninjured in order for you to get your money because of the way you conduct yourself. And he did this with the Niners. And so Jimmy G is already potentially on the verge of getting cut if he doesn't pass his physical. Just a disaster for the Raiders. And people wonder why I say stay away from Adams and Jacobs, 2 players that don't even want to play for the Raiders this year. Jacobs won't sign his franchise tag. Adams wants out, makes fun of the franchise, makes fun of the upstairs, the downstairs, the side stairs, everywhere. He's like, this is not the vision that I have, but I'm going to make the best of it. I don't, this isn't what I want. This isn't what I wanted. Clearly doesn't want Jimmy G because what he wanted was Aaron Rodgers. What he said was, let's rebuild. They brought back Jacobs, so clearly that wasn't, they aren't seeing eye to eye with me. The only thing they didn't do, they traded away Waller, and then they let Carr go, and then they bring in Jimmy. That's not what he wanted. That's not what Adams wanted. Adams doesn't want to be there. Adams is traded by midseason. And then it depends on whether, if you're smart, you won't draft him and you'll trade for him. That's the move to make with Adams. Okay, Adam, I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow, pal.
No problem.
Later.
Have a good one, man.
For those that missed it, does anyone think D-Hop could go to the Bears? No. I mean, it's possible, but it's not been talked about. Maybe a trade. Like, this whole point tonight was that Hopkins was not actually cut from the Cardinals because of the way the holiday played into the processing of the release. Is supposed to be processed on Friday, but the holiday put it to where it's going to be Tuesday. And I don't know I don't know what's going to happen. The Cardinals could pull back, which is very rare. It's a rarity, but the Cardinals, technically speaking, could pull back from actually cutting him and try and still trade him if some interest, perked up over the weekend. And one might ask, why would it perk up and surface if teams could just wait until he's cut and then sign him for, free, essentially, not free, but it won't cost draft capital. And the answer to that is that teams that he's not wanting to play for aren't going to be in the sweepstakes for him. So a team that wants him, maybe he still wants to play for him, but he's not going to pick him. Like, if you're not the team that's going to be picked and you're like, pick me, now the team can step in and say, Cardinals, wait a minute. We don't want KC getting him. We don't want Buffalo getting him. Hey, this is the Eagles on the line. We'll take him. We'll trade you for him. He'll love to play here. He said it hurts anyway, but maybe they're like, we know he's going to Buffalo because Buffalo is going to come strong. This is Philly. We want him. We'll trade for get fourth or fifth rounder. Boom, done. But the likelihood of this happening, probably low, probably very low, but it's worth talking about tonight. And I appreciate all of you. Hour and a half show, hour and 40-minute show. Appreciate you all. See you all tomorrow. Thank you to all the super chatters in here. Young says, as long as Lunch and Shanahan are there, I think they will make great moves together. I think you mean Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. Dolphins. At what point in my draft should I take DeAndre Hopkins? I mean, round 5 and 6 are great right now. I think 4 is still a little early, but 4 is okay. Late 4 is okay, but 5's perfect. Cards loading up for 2023. Absolutely peanut butter and waivers. If they're smart, they'll take Caleb at 1 if they're so lucky, and they'll use Kyler and their additional first-round pick to trade into the top 3 to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. I'll see you all later.
The tripod, likened to pyramids in ancient Egypt, consists of drafting either Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts with one of Hall, Gibbs or Bijan, and one of Olave, Watson, Wilson, or Chase.
But the continuum of the gigawatt component structure of Jahmyr Gibbs' workload divide has a megawatt offload that if you compartmentalize the component conjunction timekeeper and you flux capacitor out the continuum component megabolt, things just end up happening. And that's why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 to 10 running back instead of top 6 to 10. And Young dropping 1 late super chat. Appreciate you, my boy. Says, Smitty, what you think of Niners tight end Willis? I don't know, bro. I think that like I said, Kittle doesn't have like super long, but I don't think I'm interested in any backup tight ends at this point, other than maybe taking a look at Forston in KC, especially with Kelsey getting older. That's a good one to watch. Isaiah Likely in Baltimore. Yeah, I mean that's it. I mean Kincaid's a starter, not a backup to Knox. I don't care if Knox is on the field every single play. Kincaid's playing slot wide receiver and running all over the field. So like those are the only backup tight ends I might be blanking on 1 or 2 of them that I still have interest in. But yeah, that's what I'd say. I'd say Niner tight end. Like we don't even know if the Niner tight end's relevant if, let's say, Trey's in there. And I don't know that Trey's going to get the same playbook and opened up offense and have the same kind of situation and setup where Purdy's he's extending plays because of his ability to extend a play, but also because the playbook and play calling is allowing him to go through his progression, and Kittle can block and break off a route. Jimmy never would have had the ball long enough for Kittle to even run a route. That's why Kittle went dormant and why you shouldn't even go near Mayer in redraft. I mean, as a third quarterback in best ball, it's a decent option because you don't know who's quarterbacking there from week 8 on. It could be a different quarterback. They could just look at Mayer and blanket him with targets. So that's why Mayer has a little bit more value. Appreciate you all. See you later. Asher says, number one YouTuber, you're my guy. Appreciate you, Asher. Off to work, says Jeremy W. Faithfully, appreciate you. Have a good night, says Blackbeard. Blackbeard's my dude. Blackbeard, Blackbeard's such a positive guy. I know I'm talking bad about the Niners sometimes, but I'm not. I think Blackbeard knows that I talk positively about the positive aspects of the 49ers. It's more so Shanahan that he knows that I'm not fond of some of the decisions he makes, and I get tired of people defending him and not, that holding him accountable to some of it, That's all. But Shanahan, and I also give Shanahan his props. He's an offensive savant. No question about it. I mean, for the future, those guys, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that there's much value in the backup tight end room from even a dynasty perspective right now until we know that they can utilize the tight end, because we saw Kittle vanish for, what did Kittle do? Kittle had, looking at Kittle's stats, his career game log, in 2022, he bounced back because of the emergence of Purdy. But in the years prior, he still had 6 touchdowns and 2 touchdowns the 2 years prior, and he still had 910 yards. He had a pretty decent season in 2021, to be honest, but he was inconsistent. The year prior, 634 and 2, that was really his bad year. 2 prior years from that were 2,000-yard seasons. That was really, really good. So I'd say he hasn't been as dormant as long as, maybe it feels. Like, really, really went dormant last year yardage-wise, but definitely excelled in touchdowns. Really, drop-off was 2020. In 2020, he dropped off a ton. But, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons. This will be his 7th season. That's a tough amount of time to put your body through what Kittle puts his body through. Braden Willis, to answer your question, he was a 247th overall pick. Not a lot of it's not high draft capital, but you know how the Niners are. He's a 6'4", 241-pound guy. I would probably say, he's got good odds to be the future potentially there. But so pick him up in a deep dynasty league, sure. I don't mind that. Deep dynasty league. And that other guy, Cameron, what's his name? He was drafted number 101 overall. He's 6'4", 242. Spent 5 seasons in Alabama. Didn't have good playing time though, So it's like, I don't know. Career numbers 787 and 12, but that was over 2 seasons. So averaging 6 yards, 6 touchdowns a season, 350, 400 yards, something like that. It's not nothing to cry home about or write home about. Cry or write. All right, later, everybody. Appreciate you.
Get breached.